I stared at the email from my ex-wife's lawyer for the third time that morning. The words blurred together, but one number stood out sharp and clear: $3,000. Per month. Triple what I had been paying for the past 2 years. My daughter Emma's face flashed through my mind. 7 years old, gap-toothed smile obsessed with butterflies. She was my whole world. I had always paid on time, never missed a deadline, never complained. Jessica and I had managed to keep things civil after the divorce for Emma's sake. But this email felt different. The reasoning was vague, just generic phrases about rising costs of living. Something about it did not sit right with me. I could feel it in my gut, that instinct you get when someone is not telling you the whole truth. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you have ever dealt with a difficult co-parenting situation, hit that like button. Subscribe, because this story takes a turn you would not believe. Now let me tell you how one piece of evidence changed everything. I read the email again, slower this time, trying to make sense of it. I am 32 years old, a software engineer living in Austin, Texas. Not rich by any means, but I work hard. My salary is $75,000 a year, decent enough to live comfortably in a 2-bedroom apartment and handle my responsibilities. $1,000 a month for Emma had always felt fair based on my income and the custody arrangement. But $3,000, that would eat up nearly half my take-home pay after taxes. I picked up my phone and called my lawyer, Mrs. Anderson. She had handled my divorce 2 years ago and had become someone I trusted completely. At 62 years old with 30 years of family law experience, she had seen every trick in the book. Her voice was steady when she answered. "Gray, what can I do for you?" I explained the situation, reading her the email word for word. There was a pause on the other end. "They need to prove the costs have actually increased," she said firmly. "You cannot just demand a 300% increase without legitimate justification. Let me look into this." But I could not wait for lawyers to sort things out. I decided to reach out to Jessica directly. We had always been able to talk things through before, or at least I thought we had. I sent her a text, asking if we could meet for coffee to discuss the child support request in person. She agreed, surprisingly quickly. We arranged to meet at a cafe near Emma's school the following afternoon. The cafe was one of those trendy Austin spots with exposed brick walls and overpriced lattes. Jessica arrived 10 minutes late, which was typical. She was 30 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes still striking in the way that had first caught my attention years ago. She worked part-time as a receptionist at a dental clinic, maybe 25 hours a week. She slid into the seat across from me without much of a greeting. "Thanks for meeting me." I started trying to keep my tone neutral. "I got the email from your lawyer about the child support increase." "Emma is growing up," Jessica said quickly, as if she had rehearsed the line. "She needs more things now. Clothes, extracurricular activities, school supplies. Everything is getting more expensive." I nodded slowly. "I understand that. I really do. But $3,000 a month. That is a 300% increase, Jessica. Can you show me a breakdown of the actual expenses? Maybe we can work something out that makes sense for both of us." Her jaw tightened. She started talking about inflation and how expensive life in Texas had become, but her answers felt rehearsed and hollow. Nothing specific, no actual numbers. I suggested a compromise. "What if we go up to $1,500 a month? That is a 50% increase. It gives Emma what she needs without putting me in a financial hole." Jessica did not even pretend to consider it. "No, that is not enough. We need 3,000. That word again. We. Not Emma needs. Not I need. We need. It hit me like a cold splash of water. I remembered Derek then, her new husband. They had gotten married about 8 months ago. Derek was 35, a former high school football player who now worked as a car salesman at a dealership on the north side of town. I had only met him twice, both times when picking up Emma. He had always seemed friendly enough, if a bit cocky. Jessica stood up abruptly. I have to go. Think about what I said, Gray. Emma deserves better. I watched her walk out of the cafe, and through the window, I saw Derek waiting in a car outside. He had not even come in. That struck me as odd. Why sit out there unless he did not want to be seen? I left the cafe feeling more confused and frustrated than before. Something was not adding up, but I could not put my finger on what exactly. The following Friday, I went to pick up Emma for our weekend together. I had custody every Friday evening through Sunday afternoon, a schedule we had stuck to religiously since the divorce. When I pulled into the driveway of Jessica's house, I noticed something new in the garage. A brand new Ford F-150 pickup truck, gleaming black with chrome accents. Those trucks were not cheap. I knew because I had looked at buying one myself last year, and balked at the $55,000 price tag. Emma came running out with her backpack, all energy and excitement. Daddy, Uncle Derek got a new truck. It is so cool. It has heated seats and a big screen. She chattered on about the truck's features as I buckled her into her car seat. Uncle Derek. That is what Jessica had Emma call him. I forced a smile and asked casual questions. When did he get it? Emma thought for a second. Last week, I think. Mommy and Uncle Derek were really happy. They said we might go to Florida next month for vacation. Florida. A new $55,000 truck. Yet they needed $3,000 a month from me for basic expenses. The math was not mathing, as Emma would say. I spent the weekend with my daughter, taking her to the park, making pancakes together on Saturday morning, watching her favorite movies. But in the back of my mind, questions kept circling. If they had money for a luxury vehicle and a vacation, why were they demanding more child support? On Sunday evening, when I dropped Emma back at Jessica's house, I paid more attention to my surroundings. The house looked well maintained. Through the window, I could see a new large-screen television in the living room that had not been there a month ago. None of this added up to a family struggling financially. I drove home and sat in my apartment for a long time thinking. Finally, I made a decision. I picked up my phone and called Mrs. Anderson again. I need you to recommend a good private investigator, I told her. There was a brief pause. Then she said, I will send you a name. But Gray, are you sure about this? I was sure. I needed to know the truth. The investigator Mrs. Anderson recommended was named Marcus Hayes. 50-years-old former police detective with 25 years of experience, now running his own private investigation firm, specializing in divorce cases and financial fraud. We met at his office on Tuesday morning. Marcus had the kind of face that had seen everything and was not surprised by anything anymore. His fee was $1,200 for a week of surveillance, which would strain my budget, but felt necessary. I showed him photos of Jessica, and Derek gave him their address and vehicle descriptions, and explained the situation. I will start tomorrow, Marcus said, taking notes in a worn leather notebook. Most of these cases, the truth comes out pretty quick. People get comfortable, think nobody is watching. I thanked him and left, feeling a strange mix of guilt and determination. Was I overreacting? Was I being paranoid? But then I remembered that word again. We need $3,000, not Emma. 3 days later, Marcus called me. I have something interesting, he said without preamble. Can you come to my office? I left work early, my stomach in knots the entire drive. Marcus had photos spread across his desk when I arrived. Your ex-wife and her husband have a pattern, he said, pointing to the images. Every Friday and Saturday night when your daughter is with you, they drive to Louisiana. Louisiana. That was about 3 hours from Austin. What are they doing there? I asked, though part of me already suspected. Marcus slid more photos across the desk. Jessica and Derek walking into a casino called Lucky 7. More pictures of them inside at poker tables, at slot machines, drinks in hand. Timestamps on the photos showed they had been there multiple times. I talked to some of the staff, Marcus continued. Showed them the photos. They recognize them as regulars. High rollers, one waitress said. Or at least they try to be. My hands shook slightly as I picked up the photos. They looked happy in these pictures, laughing carefree. While I was at home with Emma, making mac and cheese, and watching Encanto for the 15th time, they were gambling. There is more, Marcus said quietly. He pulled out another folder. I did some digging into their financial records. Public information, all legal. Derek has credit card debt of $23,000. Jessica owes $17,000 on her cards. The truck Derek bought financed at a terrible interest rate. They have not made a single payment yet beyond the down payment. The room felt like it was tilting. Marcus was not done. I also found a civil case filing from 6 months ago. A private poker club in Louisiana sued them for $5,000 in unpaid debts. It was settled out of court, but it is on record. I sat back in the chair, processing everything. They did not need money for Emma. They needed money to fund their gambling habit and pay off their mounting debts. My daughter was just a convenient excuse to extract more cash from me. There is something else you should know, Marcus said, his voice taking on a more serious tone. One of their neighbors mentioned to me that she saw Derek driving home late one Saturday night, clearly intoxicated with your daughter in the car. My blood ran cold. What? Marcus nodded grimly. The neighbor said she almost called the police but did not want to get involved. She said it happened about 3 weeks ago. Emma was asleep in the back seat when they pulled into the driveway. I could not breathe. Derek had driven drunk with my daughter in the car. My Emma, 7 years old, defenseless, trusting. I stood up so fast, the chair scraped against the floor. I need copies of everything, I said, my voice shaking with barely controlled rage. Every photo, every document, every piece of evidence you have. Marcus was already putting together a file. I figured you would. I will email you the digital copies too. Whatever you are planning, make sure you have a good lawyer. I drove straight to Mrs. Anderson's office from there. She cleared her schedule when I told her it was urgent. For the next 2 hours, we went through every piece of evidence Marcus had gathered. Mrs. Anderson's expression grew more serious with each document. This is significant, she said finally. We are not just talking about denying the child support increase anymore, Gray. We need to file for a modification of custody. Your daughter is not safe in that environment. The words hit me like a hammer. Custody modification. It would mean a court battle. It would mean Emma's life would be disrupted. But what choice did I have? I could not let her stay in a home where her stepfather drove drunk with her in the car, where her mother was so desperate for gambling money that she would lie and manipulate to get it. What do we need to do? I asked quietly. Mrs. Anderson pulled out a legal pad and started making notes. We file a motion for emergency custody modification. We will include all of this evidence: the gambling, the debt, the drunk driving incident with Emma in the vehicle. We will also request that Jessica undergo a financial evaluation and that Derek complete substance abuse counseling. She looked up at me. This will not be easy. Jessica will fight back. Her lawyer will attack your character, claim you are doing this out of spite. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Emma. Her laugh. The way she held my hand when we crossed the street. How she climbed into my bed on Saturday mornings and told me elaborate stories about imaginary butterfly kingdoms. I am prepared, I said. Emma deserves better than this. She deserves to be safe. We spent the next week preparing the case. Mrs. Anderson drafted a 30-page filing that detailed everything. Photos of Jessica and Derek at the casino time-stamped and dated. Financial records showing their debt. The civil case about the unpaid poker club debt. Screenshots of Jessica's manipulative text messages to me. The neighbor's written statement about the drunk driving incident. It was overwhelming and damning. The court date was set for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, I told Jessica through text that I would not be agreeing to the child support increase. and that I had concerns about Emma's living situation. She responded with a barrage of angry messages, calling me selfish, accusing me of trying to hurt Emma, claiming I was a terrible father. I did not respond. Mrs. Anderson had advised me to keep all communication formal and minimal. The Travis County Courthouse was busier than I expected on a Thursday morning. People streamed in and out, lawyers in suits, carrying briefcases, families clustered together looking stressed. I met Mrs. Anderson in the hallway outside the courtroom. She looked confident in her navy blazer, her silver hair pulled back neatly. "Are you ready?" she asked. I nodded, though my stomach was churning. Jessica and her lawyer, a man named Bernard Wright, arrived 15 minutes later. Jessica would not look at me. Derek was not with her, probably on purpose. Judge Patricia Coleman presided over our hearing. She was 65 years old with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to miss nothing. Her reputation was well known among lawyers. Tough, but fair. She did not tolerate nonsense in her courtroom. We all took our seats, and the judge reviewed the basic facts of the case. This started as a child support modification request, Judge Coleman said, looking over her reading glasses at the paperwork. But it appears there are now custody concerns. Mr. Wright, you may begin. Jessica's lawyer stood up, smoothing his tie. He was probably 50 with thinning hair and a voice that tried too hard to sound authoritative. Your Honor, my client is simply asking for fair support for her daughter. Mr. Gray has a stable income and can afford to contribute more to his child's welfare. The current amount has not kept pace with inflation and the growing needs of a 7-year-old girl. My client works hard to provide a good home for Emma. This request is reasonable and justified. He went on for another 10 minutes, painting Jessica as a struggling single mother doing her best. He made no mention of Derek the gambling or any of the real issues. When he finished, Judge Coleman turned to Mrs. Anderson. Mrs. Anderson, your response. My lawyer stood, and I could see why she had such a strong reputation. She was calm, methodical, and devastating. Your Honor, we are not here to discuss a simple child support increase. We are here because the child's safety is at risk. She opened her folder and began presenting evidence, piece by piece. First, the photos of Jessica and Derek at the Louisiana casino. She put blown-up copies on an easel where everyone could see. Jessica's face went pale. These photos show Mrs. Gray and her husband visiting this casino at least 12 times over the past 3 months. Every Friday and Saturday night, coincidentally when the child is with her father. They are not occasional visits. This is a pattern of behavior. Mr. Wright tried to interrupt. Your Honor, what my client does in her personal time is not relevant to her parenting abilities. Judge Coleman held up a hand. I will decide what is relevant, Mr. Wright. Continue, Mrs. Anderson. My lawyer moved to the next set of documents. Financial records show that Mrs. Gray and her husband have combined credit card debt exceeding $40,000. They recently purchased a $55,000 vehicle they cannot afford, with payments they have not yet begun to make. 6 months ago, they were sued by a private poker club for $5,000 in unpaid gambling debts. The courtroom was silent, except for the rustle of papers. Mrs. Anderson was not finished. Most concerning, Your Honor, is this sworn statement from a neighbor. She handed copies to the judge and to Mr. Wright. 3 weeks ago, the neighbor witnessed Mr. Derek Patterson driving home late at night, clearly intoxicated with 7-year-old Emma, asleep in the back seat. The neighbor considered calling the police, but decided against it. However, she is willing to testify if needed. Jessica was crying now, quiet tears running down her face. Derek was not present to defend himself, which probably looked bad. Judge Coleman was reading through the neighbor's statement, her expression unreadable. Finally, she looked up. Mrs. Gray, did your husband drive under the influence with your daughter in the vehicle? Jessica stammered. Your Honor, I was not there. I do not know. Derek said he only had 1 drink. The neighbor must be mistaken. 1 drink or 10 drinks, it is illegal and dangerous, Judge Coleman said sharply. And you want me to award you more money while you and your husband gamble away what you already have? Mr. Wright stood up quickly. Your Honor, we were not prepared to defend against these allegations today. This was supposed to be a child support hearing, not a custody modification. We request a continuance to properly respond. Judge Coleman shook her head. This is about a child's welfare, Mr. Wright. I am not going to delay a decision that affects her safety just because you were not prepared. She looked at the documents in front of her, then at Jessica, then at me. Here is what is going to happen. The request for increased child support is denied. Not only denied, but I am questioning whether the current arrangement is in the best interest of the child. Jessica gasped. Judge Coleman continued. I am ordering a social services evaluation of both homes within the next 2 weeks. Until that evaluation is complete, and I review the findings, I am granting Mr. Gray temporary primary custody of Emma. Mrs. Gray, you will have supervised visitation on weekends. Furthermore, I am ordering both you and your husband to attend mandatory financial counseling. Mr. Patterson is also ordered to complete a substance abuse evaluation and follow any recommended treatment. The judge's gavel came down with a sharp crack. If you want to regain custody of your daughter, Mrs. Gray, you need to prove you can provide a stable and safe environment. This hearing is adjourned. I sat there for a moment, not quite believing what had just happened. Mrs. Anderson touched my arm gently. We won, she said quietly. But looking at Jessica crying into her hands across the room, it did not feel like winning. It just felt necessary. The social services evaluation happened quickly. A woman named Karen Miller came to my apartment on a Tuesday afternoon. She was probably 45 with kind eyes and a thorough approach. She spent 2 hours going through my home, asking questions about my routine with Emma, checking the fridge, looking at the bedroom I had set up for her. I showed her Emma's school records photos of our weekends together, letters from her teacher praising her progress. Karen seemed impressed. You have clearly made Emma a priority, she said, making notes on her tablet. The home is clean, safe, and age-appropriate. Emma has her own space. You have a stable job and income. Can you tell me about your work schedule? I explained that I worked from home 3 days a week and went into the office 2 days. On office days, I had arranged for Emma to go to an after-school program she enjoyed. Karen nodded approvingly. And what about healthcare activities? Emotional support? I told her about Emma's doctor appointments, her butterfly enthusiast club at school. The therapist I had already lined up for her to talk to about the changes in her living situation. Karen visited Jessica's home too, though I was not there for that evaluation. 2 weeks later, we were back in court. This time, Derek was present, sitting next to Jessica. He looked uncomfortable in a suit that did not quite fit. Judge Coleman had Karen's report in front of her. I have reviewed the evaluation, she said. Mrs. Miller found that Mr. Gray provides a stable, nurturing, and safe environment for Emma. His home is well maintained. He has appropriate childcare arrangements, and he demonstrates a clear commitment to his daughter's well-being. She paused, looking at Jessica. The evaluation of your home, Mrs. Gray, raised several concerns. Financial instability, evidence of ongoing gambling behavior, and lack of a concrete plan to address these issues. Mr. Patterson did complete a substance abuse evaluation. The counselor recommended he attend a 6-month outpatient treatment program, which he has agreed to do. Judge Coleman closed the folder. Based on this evidence, and the best interest of the child, I am awarding primary custody to Mr. Gray. Mrs. Gray, you will have visitation every other weekend, supervised for the first 3 months. After that, if you have completed financial counseling and can demonstrate stability, we will revisit unsupervised visitation. Mr. Patterson, you are not to be alone with Emma until you complete your treatment program. Is that clear? Derek nodded, his face red. Jessica was crying again, but quietly this time. The judge's decision was final. Primary custody. Emma would live with me. I felt a wave of relief so strong, it almost knocked me over, followed immediately by the weight of responsibility. I was now fully responsible for raising my daughter. It was what I wanted, what I had fought for, but it was still overwhelming. The transition was not easy. Emma cried the first few nights, confused about why she was not going back to Mommy's house. I held her and explained as gently as I could that she would be staying with me now, but she would still see Mommy. Just differently. We set up her room exactly how she wanted it. Pink and purple bedding with butterflies on it. A bookshelf I let her organize however she pleased. A small desk by the window where she could draw. Slowly, Emma adjusted. She started sleeping through the night. Her smile came back. I took her to school every morning, a routine that became precious to me. We would sing songs in the car, silly made-up tunes about butterflies and pancakes. Every Wednesday became our cooking night. We would make dinner together, usually something simple like tacos or pasta. Emma would stand on a stool next to me, carefully measuring ingredients, telling me about her day. Her teacher sent me an email 6 weeks into the new arrangement. Emma's grades had improved. She was more focused in class, more engaged. The teacher noted that Emma seemed happier and more secure. Reading that email, I felt tears prick my eyes. This was what it was all about. Not winning against Jessica, not proving a point, just giving Emma the stability and safety she deserved. I will not lie and say I was not angry at first. I was furious. Furious at Jessica for putting gambling ahead of our daughter. Furious at Derek for driving drunk with Emma in the car. Furious at myself for not seeing the signs earlier. But anger is a heavy thing to carry, and I decided I did not want to carry it anymore. I started going to a support group for single parents in Austin. Meeting other people dealing with similar challenges helped. Hearing their stories, sharing mine, realizing I was not alone. One man in the group, a guy named Thomas, whose ex-wife had similar issues, told me something that stuck with me. Forgiveness is not for them, he said. It is for you. You forgive so you can let go and move forward, not because they deserve it. That resonated. I did not forgive Jessica because she earned it, or because what she did was okay. I forgave her because I deserved to be free from the anger that was eating at me. 6 months after the custody decision, Jessica reached out to me. Not through her lawyer, just a simple text. Can we talk? We met at the same cafe where this whole thing had started. She looked different. Thinner, tired, but also somehow clearer in the eyes. I completed the financial counseling program, she said quietly. Derek and I separated. He is in treatment for his drinking, and I am going to Gamblers Anonymous meetings. I know I messed up, Gray. I know I put our daughter at risk. I am not asking you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I am trying to be better. I did not know what to say at first. Part of me wanted to stay angry, to tell her it was too little too late. But I looked at her and saw someone genuinely trying to change. Emma asks about you, I told her. She misses you. If you are serious about getting better, I think we can work toward more time with her. But it has to be real, Jessica. No more gambling. No more lies. Emma has to come first. Not your wants, not your debts. Her. Jessica nodded, tears streaming down her face. She will. I promise. It has been a year now since that courtroom decision. Emma still lives primarily with me. Jessica has graduated to unsupervised visitation every other weekend, and honestly, she has been consistent and reliable. She shows up on time, brings Emma back on time, and stays in touch about school stuff and doctor appointments. Derek completed his treatment program, but he and Jessica did not get back together. She is living on her own now, working full-time, managing her money responsibly from what I can tell. Emma is thriving. She is 8 now, still obsessed with butterflies, but also getting into soccer and art class. She talks to the therapist once a week, working through her feelings about everything that happened. Some days are harder than others. She still has moments where she gets sad or confused about why things changed. But overall, she is happy and healthy and safe, and that is all I ever wanted. I learned something through all of this. Protecting someone you love is not always comfortable. Sometimes it means making hard decisions that feel mean in the moment, but are necessary in the long run. It means standing firm when others push back. It means trusting your instincts when something feels wrong. And it means being willing to seek out the truth, even when that truth is painful. I also learned that people can change, but only if they genuinely want to. Jessica wanted her life to be easy, wanted money without accountability, wanted to indulge her vices without consequences. It took losing custody of Emma to wake her up to what really mattered. I cannot say if the change will be permanent. Only time will tell. But I choose to give her the chance to prove herself, because Emma deserves to have a relationship with her mother as long as that relationship is healthy and safe. Looking back at that email demanding $3,000 a month, I am almost grateful for it. If Jessica had just asked for a smaller increase, something I might have agreed to without question, I never would have dug deeper. I never would have discovered what was really happening. Emma might still be living in that unstable environment at risk. That email, as manipulative as it was, became the catalyst for protecting my daughter. Sometimes the answers you need are right in front of you. The new truck, the vacation plans, the vague explanations. All signs pointing to something wrong. But you have to be willing to look, to ask questions, to push past the comfortable narrative and seek the uncomfortable truth. That is what I did. That is what any parent who loves their child would do. Now when I watch Emma playing in the park near our apartment, her laughter ringing out as she chases butterflies with a net we bought together, I feel at peace. She is safe. She is loved. She is thriving. And I did that. Not by being perfect, but by being present and willing to fight for what was right. That is all any of us can do. I learned that protecting someone you love sometimes means standing firm, even when it feels uncomfortable, and that the truth, no matter how painful, will always set you free. The question is, are you willing to seek it out? So let me ask you, have you ever had to make a difficult decision to protect someone you love? Have you ever discovered a truth that changed everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel because there are more real-life stories coming that will make you think, feel, and maybe see your own situation differently. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gives you courage to stand up for what is right in your own life. Take care of yourself and the people you love. Until next time.